Call the council meeting to order tonight. Tonight will be led in the invocation by Pastor Carl Surf from the Spirit of Peace United Church of Christ in Sioux Falls. After the invocation, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. So at this time, I would just ask everyone to rise, please.
And let us pray. Almighty God, unto whom all hearts are open, all desires known, and from whom no secrets are hid, cleanse the thoughts of our hearts by the inspiration of your Holy Spirit. And may the fruit of that Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, be the guiding principle of all that we say and do. And may that Spirit be here in this room, in this place, with each one present, that the decisions that are made will be for the betterment of our community and our beloved city. To your honor and glory we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clara Hart will ask you to come up. We have a proclamation tonight for World Refugee Day. I want to thank you for coming down. The proclamation reads, whereas every year on June 20th, the world honors the courage, resilience, and strength of refugees. On the 6th anniversary of the United Nations designated World Refugee Day, thousands of organizations in hundreds of countries will come together to focus global attention not only on the plight of refugees and the causes of their exile, but also on their determination and will to survive and on the contribution they make to their host communities. Whereas refugees flee their country not for economic gain, but to escape persecution, the threat of imprisonment, and even threats to their lives. They need a safe haven where they can recover from mental and physical trauma and rebuild their hopes for a better future. Whereas all refugees, regardless of circumstances, contend with starting over, often in a total foreign environment. Whereas the courage and determination demonstrated during their darkest hours will serve them well in the rebuilding of a new life. Now, therefore, I, Dave Munson, Mayor of the City of Sioux Falls, do hereby proclaim June 20th, 2007 as World Refugee Day in Sioux Falls, and let us honor them for their qualities and recognize the richness and the diversity they bring to our societies. Congratulations, Claire. Thank you. Okay, we'll get started with the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move for approval.
Jamison moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Brown seconded. Motion been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any other motions? If not, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda will vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. The consent agenda has been approved 8-0. Now, is there a motion to approve the regular agenda?
I so move. Knutson.
Knutson moved. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconded. Motion been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Are there further motions? I see no further motions, so All in favor of approving the regular agenda will vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Kavanaugh? Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present voted. The regular agenda has been approved 8-0. Now is the time that we set aside 5 minutes for anyone that wishes to address the council on a topic of interest. What we ask if they would give their name and their address, and then we would just ask that, again, that you respect the 5-minute rule. So is anybody wishing to address the council this evening? If you do, come forward and give your name, please, and we'd ask for 5 minutes.
My name is Paul Kern. I live at 1019 South Norton Avenue. Mary Schramm is the owner of the house, and we are facing right now a large amount of fines from the city and now a summons and complaint for, well, I'll begin. This whole issue began with a neighbor who thought our yard was fine. However, his several dogs kept running through our garden. This happened almost daily for a couple of months, and I finally had words with him across the fence. He promptly called the health department on us. 2 days later, he flipped me the finger. The health department does not review complaints for the intent behind them, in this case, malice. Tom O'Brien was the first health department employee to come over without a warrant, as required by law, as the so-called offending items were not in plain view. We did everything we could to please him, as listed on the complaint, but on returning, he was not about to be pleased. At about this time, we met the wife of another health department employee who said Tom O'Brien was unnecessarily harsh with people. It seemed pretty clear to me by then that Tom O'Brien exhibited traits of sadism, and I followed the other employee's wife's suggestion and called the director of the health department, Luann Ford. The result was she was even more determined to find fault with our yard and called in our Sean Turno. We received a letter from Mr. Turno's office offering to settle this privately. I thought, not knowing who Sean Turno was at the time, he must be more reasonable, educated, and intelligent. And I asked him to come over himself, as I was sure he'd find nothing wrong. He did come. He came with 2 armed police officers, a scribe to write for him, a photographer, Luann Ford of the health department, and at least one other person, and cited us a second time. The first time was $100, the second time was $200. Here are some of the things he mentioned as violations in the yard. A plastic owl in the garden, a ladder leaning against a tree. He said that was an attractive nuisance for children, even though playgrounds have slides and ladders in almost every one. A shovel next to the compost pile was considered a nuisance or a hazard for children. A sharpening stone for my tools. Wrought iron planters, he said his wife puts her planters away in the winter, and therefore we should too. I called several lawyers to take the case on a contingency fee basis, as Mary and my combined income is only about $25,000 a year. Every one of them used an expletive in reference to our Sean Turno. I won't include those, but, well, I'm sure you all know Mr. Turno, his reputation.
Paul, excuse me, Paul, please, let's not get into personalities. Let's talk about your facts. Let's not talk about personalities of people.
Okay, well, I'm sure you all know Mr. Turno and his reputation.
Please, don't.
We have felt the weight of the oppression and the fear he generates, especially when opposed. I fear we're far from being the only ones he's hurting and has hurt unnecessarily. The administrative hearing was a predetermined outcome. No South Dakota or U.S. constitutional provisions were honored or considered, and my motions concerning these and due process were ignored. The immediate complaint also lists as violations, again, very generally so, the same things that were connected or corrected before the first citation. And in spite of 3 verbal and 2 written requests for a specific list of violations, we never have received any. In fact, Mr. Turno said, "I'm not going to give you that," referring to a list of specific violations. How can anyone understand a complaint without specifics? Or even more, how they relate to health and safety? And how can an independent judge decide fairly without knowing which items are being considered a nuisance or rubbish or whatever vague terminology is used? And then there is no appeals process in place, meaning with the judge. Judicial review does not consider the facts of the case. Judge Surska, as you're probably all aware, admonished Mr. Turno for this. We were left with no course of action and did not have the means, and do not have the means, to afford an attorney. Another thing, I understand that Mr. Turno is friends with the neighbor who orchestrated the original complaint. Our house is on the State and National Historic Register. They inspect the house and yard regularly, and in 7 years have never mentioned anything amiss. These exhaustive projects sometimes take longer than we expect. I'm sure Mr. Litz would agree with that. Mary and I have spent thousands of hours on this house, as well as growing organic gardens profuse with flowers and vegetables. It's probably not considered ordinary, and doubtless does not conform to a sterile, institutional, artificial stereotype, which we are being pushed and fined to adopt. Even the health department employee whose wife we met, who came over with Lou Ann Ford once, said that it was a sense of aesthetics they were enforcing. Then Ms. Ford
Paul,
shushed him.
we're at 6 minutes now, Paul.
There's always something work-related in the open that's hidden in the back of the yard out of sight, whether it be power tools, paint cans, lumber, wheelbarrows, etc. I have constructed fences and hedges to hide this, and the work that we're constantly doing. This put-it-away mentality is being carried to the extreme. It goes beyond common sense and dignity. If it continues unchecked, we'll have no choice but to abandon the garden, the restoration, or abandon life altogether. Mary is a widow now, some 15 years. She's 70 years old. And since this draconian action began, her systolic blood pressure has risen to over 200. We asked the council to rescind the $600 in fines. Oh, they issued a third one for $300. That makes it $600 total. We asked the council to rescind, please, to rescind the $600 in fines and require Mr. Turno to withdraw the complaint. I have a copy of the summons and complaint here. Perhaps also the health department needs more oversight, and especially in light of the vendettas with neighbor versus neighbor. But we invite each and every one of you to come over and see for yourself. See for yourself what grounds Mr. Turno might have for threatening the very life of an ill elderly widow.
We've gone way over on our 5 minutes, so we'd ask you to respect
I'm sorry,
that.
I'm finished now. There's 2 neighbors that are here now that would like to speak. They each keep excellent yards. They've lived here for a long time and have always been diligent and good neighbors. They were not spared by Mr. Turno either. They can tell you what they think of our yard. Thank you. Again, we invite each and every one of you to come over as a group or personally to see for yourself. Thank you. I'm sorry for taking so long.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Paul, I think the latest $300 fine you got, what was the reason you got the $300 fine? What was the specific charge?
There was no specific charge, sir.
I think they had public nuisance, wasn't it?
Yes.
And that's, to me, disturbing when you just have a general statement like this, that you're a public nuisance. And for charging somebody $300 for that without being specific, I think is very, very unfortunate.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Paul. Others who wish to address the council for a period of 5 minutes, and we would ask if you could keep it to 5 minutes so we can keep moving on.
Good evening. My name is Marvin Okrina. I live at 1100 South Summit Avenue. We're a block away from Mary Lou Schramm and Paul Kern. They moved in several years ago and have been excellent neighbors. They've cleaned up the house, they've restored the exterior, painted, they've trimmed trees, they mow their lawn, they have a vegetable garden and flower gardens that they maintain regularly, and they're good, conscientious, fair neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marvin. Others that wish to address the council on any topic at this time?
Yes, my name's Donald Warren, and I live at 1101 South Norton, directly across the street from Paul. And I just want to say, there's no nuisance in his yard. He keeps a nice yard, he has a nice garden, he's a very good neighbor, and, you know, I don't know what to say about this, but there's no nuisance factor here.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. Others that wish to address the council for 5 minutes? Name and address, please. Looking through. Okay.
I'm Mary Lou Schramm, 1019 South Norton. There's not a whole lot more than I can say than what Paul has already illustrated. However, I do want to say the actions and attitude of the health department, the city attorney's office, is not only a reflection on the health department and the city attorney's office, but on the city council. As I understand, they are responsible to you. What they do reflects on each and every one of you. And again, please do come over. We'd love to have you. We'd love to show you around. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mary Lou. Appreciate it. Others that wish to address the council for 5 minutes at this point? Kevin?
Chairman, I have a question. We received, this council received a series of, an email containing a series of pictures on this subject property. And I'm just wondering if, Mr. Kern, if that the pictures that I'm looking at show a considerable amount of litter, building material, and junk in the backyard. Has that been cleaned up?
Yes. Please come up, Paul.
I don't know what pictures you're looking at.
They were taken by Health Department employee Tom O'Brien on 3/13/07. There's a series of 10 pictures here, and they do not look pretty, Mr. Kern. My question is, since March 13th of 07, has anything been done to clean up that property?
Well, here's pictures we took today. And, Mr. Kavanaugh, I believe the pictures you're referring to, which Mr. Turno never did give me a copy of, like I requested, were taken out of context. There's, in fact, when he came over, or when those pictures were taken, I believe we were in the middle. There was a corner of the house that was rotten, the northwest corner, and we had to tear all of the siding off. We had we had a saw and power tools and cords and everything involved with this. The old siding was laying on the ground. I had the new siding, and I was in the process of sawing it up and fitting it. I had to rebuild the structure of the building, the wall timbers, the foundation, everything. And there was a mess at the time in the yard. As soon as we finished the job, we cleaned it up.
Was the firewood part of the reconstruction?
No, the firewood is just about gone.
My point, Mr. Chairman, is if we're going to have someone or multiple people coming here complaining about a city department, I think the department has the right to defend themselves. And, you know, if they choose to do it tonight, that's fine. But I would advise this council to do nothing until we hear both sides of the story.
According to Ms. Luann Ford, sir, the firewood is legal if it's cut into burnable pieces. And I split it with them all into burnable pieces, but there were some pieces that they considered too large to be burnable. They considered it a rodent haven. But whether it's split into small pieces or in large pieces, it wouldn't be any more or less of a rodent haven.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Others that wish to address the council for a period of 5 minutes? I see no one coming forward at this time, so we will move
Mr. Mayor,
forward.
can I ask that the city sit down with Mr. Kern and Mary Lou Schramm and talk about this? Several weeks ago, I sent various emails trying to get both sides together to talk about this. I was at his property just 30 minutes ago, and I can attest to those pictures. That's the way it is. This house has character. This yard has character. And it's very, very unfortunate what has happened to him. I think every one of us on the council here should be very concerned that we have a city attorney going over with 2 police to look at a property like this. There's no reason to have that kind of intimidation. So, can we just have them sit down and discuss this?
We'll send what we sent out again to the council so they know from our perspective where this is, what
But can't we, in the past, we've also had situations where people had complaints about the city.
Well-
And so the city attorney's office, and they would sit down and try to deal with this issue.
You know, what we're saying here is just, it's one person's side, so on this council member, we'll send out what we have for information that we've been dealing with, so that the council can see where we're at and where we've been with this process. So
Okay.
We'll get that out.
And then after we receive the information, what's going to happen next?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, so, where it's at in the legal system, we'll have to see where it's at. But we'll get the information out to you so you can see it.
I think the best thing for us to go over to their property next week and take a look when we have our information. It's only a few blocks from here.
Well, let's get the information, and then we'll move forward. So we'll get the information to you. So, okay, let's move on to item number 9.
New 2007 Convention Facility on-sale license for Ovations Food Services LP to be operated at the Sioux Falls Convention Center, 1211 Northwest Avenue, including Sunday sales effective July 1st, 2007. Number 10, new 2007-08 retail malt beverage license for Fortune Chinese Restaurant Incorporated. Fortune Chinese Restaurant to be operated at 3720 North Cliff Avenue, Suite 8, effective July 1st, 2007, with the conditional use permit being approved by the Planning Commission on May 2nd, 2007, pending final inspections per Fire and Health. Number 11, new 2007 retail wine license for Fortune Chinese Restaurants Incorporated. Fortune Chinese Restaurant to be operated at 3720 North Cliff Avenue, Suite 8, with the conditional use permit being approved by the Planning Commission on May 2nd, 2007, pending final inspections per Fire and Health. Number 12, transfer of a 2007 package liquor license from Gijo LLC BP Shop 2800 East Marson Drive to East West Ventures LLC, 4 Hills Express to be operated at 2800 East Marson Drive. Item 13, transfer of a 2006-2007 retail malt beverage license from Sweet Indulgence LLC, Riverwalk Cafe, 196 East 6th Street, Suite 101, to JSF Enterprise LLC, The Riverwalk, to be operated at 196 East 6th Street, Suite 101. Number 14, special one-day liquor license for Catering America LLC, Chef Dominique's Catering, to be operated at the Old Courthouse Museum, 200 West 6th Street, on September 15th, 2007, for a wedding reception. Item 15, special one-day liquor license for the Zoological Society of Sioux Falls to be operated at the Great Plains Zoo and Delbridge Museum of Natural History, 805 South Kiwanis Avenue, on July 26, 2007, for the Jungle Jubilee. Item 16, special one-day malt beverage and special one-day wine licenses for South Dakota Achieve to be operated at 4100 Southwestern Avenue on September 11, 2007, for a chamber mixer. Item 17, special one-day malt beverage license for Main Street Sioux Falls to be operated at Faywick Park, 10th and 2nd Street, on August 25, 2007, for the Firefighter Pentathlon. Item 18, various retail malt beverage and packaged malt beverage license renewals for 2007-08 to be operated at various locations in the city of Sioux Falls.
All right, thank you, Denise. Lori Bossman, City Finance Office. I thought we would first take questions on items 9 through 17, and then we could go through the renewals on item 18. So if you have questions on 9 through 17, I can answer, or the applicants could answer.
Any questions? Bob?
Lori, I had a question on number 9 here now. I've been tracking our progress, for the new vendor out there and the old vendor now. It was my understanding that the Sheraton had one liquor license that they were using for the convention center and for their restaurant, or their facility. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the city gave them free of charge. Was that license that was not free?
No, that license, when the convention center was originally built, the license was sold to, I think at that time it was called Ogden Entertainment, which is SMG that runs the arena. And so they did purchase that license, and then when John Q. Hammond's group took that over, they paid to transfer the license. And I'm not sure what transpired. Probably Gary could explain that better.
Yeah, actually, Lori, that license was not paid for. The development agreement between the city and John Q. Hammond's says that it will be paid for in 2014 and then at the 1996 rates.
I see. Well, then, would that license, was that license for the convention center, or was it for the Sheraton?
It was for both the hotel and the convention center. The description on that license is being amended to lots 4 and 7, which are the two parcels of the hotel. It will no longer include the convention center.
Very good. Thank you.
Kevin?
Well, I guess I'm curious, Gary, how it came about, and I suspect it was before your time, but we actually agreed to let them wait 10, 15 years to pay for this license?
Yes, apparently we did.
And they have the ability to buy this, they won't even have to buy it. They get the license for their hotel. It's no longer a convention. Is this not a license that is a convention center license specifically set aside for municipalities that have convention centers?
It's one of the two that the city has.
Okay, so it is no longer being used in that manner for that purpose. How can we justify letting them keep that license?
Actually, it's rather strange under the statute. A convention center is defined as a center that can seat up to 400 people attached to a hotel that has at least 100 rooms. So it's both the center and the hotel. It's unfortunate that we will be using both of our convention center licenses for one complex, but it is permissible under the statutes.
Pat?
Gary, would it make sense that in another 2 years, hopefully when we're allowed to issue more licenses, that we would swap out one of our retail licenses with their convention center license? Is that?
Yes, we would do that. We don't have one now to swap with them.
Further questions? Okay, go ahead.
Okay. And then item 18 are the last batch of renewals known as Exhibit C. And just a couple changes on the retail malt beverage. There is a renewal for Dakota Lodging and Entertainment, LLC, for the Quality Inn and Suites, 5410 North Granite Lane. And I would like to request withdrawal of that item. I was waiting for paperwork, and they were always on their way with it, and I have not yet received it. So we will not be able to renew that particular one at this time. And then also Paramount Studio, Inc. for the Paramount Studio and Wine Bar at 307 South Phillips would be approved pending final inspection per fire and building services. And then on to the packaged malt beverage licenses. In 2007, we have not yet had a sting, an underage sting, but in 2006, there was a sting that was done in March and also in October. The March sting was already covered at last year's renewal, but we have not yet had the opportunity to cover the October sting. As a result, we have individuals from representing all of the businesses that have been involved in the sting that occurred in October. All of these businesses submitted their management plans as was required, and you received electronic copies of those plans, and none of the licenses were revoked by the state. And if you'd like, we could go through each one. I do have representatives for each business here if you would like to ask them questions. It's up to you.
Wishes of the council. Okay.
Laura, you say none of these were revoked by the state. Do you have any idea what their criteria is for making a determination as to whether or not the license is revoked, either permanently or?
Yeah, I don't have it with me exactly, but it would, I believe if they've had more than 2 within a 24-month period, then the license would be revoked. Does that sound right, Gary? Yes. Okay.
To give them 2.
Right. I believe it's 2 within a 24-month period.
Other questions on 18? Any other questions? You want anything answered? Okay. Take that note coming forward. So we're going to withdraw the Dakota Lodging and Entertainment LLC. That's withdrawn. And the other one, that Paramount, is pending fire inspection. Are there any other questions that we have? Any other person that would like to address the council on items 9 through 18? Not? Is there a motion by the council to approve 9 through 18?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve 9 through 17.
Okay, Kavanaugh, 9 through 17.
I second that motion.
Knutson seconded it. Further comments on the motion to approve 9 through 17? No further discussion. All in favor of that motion to approve 9 through 17 will vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Benega,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
All members present voted 9 through 17 have been approved 8-0. Now we're at 18. Bernie?
Lori, a question. I see C-Store Services Pump and Pack, 37 North Potsdam Avenue. If I'm reading this correctly, 2 in 2006, so wouldn't
Right.
that be a violation of what the state's criteria?
It also has to do with training, if the employees have been trained. If they haven't taken the techniques and alcohol management training, I think that adds into it as well.
Okay. Do we have representatives from that?
We do, we do.
I'd appreciate hearing why they had 2 in 2006.
Sure. This is for the Pump and Pack at 3700 North Potsdam, and John Weir is here tonight from that business. John, you want to come up?
John, do you want to give your name and then your address, please?
John Wire, 904 Dove Trail.
Thank you.
John, if you could just tell us what went wrong that you had 2 in 2006.
Difficult to answer that. Every one of my employees have been trained through the techniques of alcohol management training plan that the retail association has. I spend a lot of time reminding people of the rules and the law, and I have 2 employees that failed to follow the law. They no longer work for me. They made mistakes, and I don't know what else to tell you. We spend a lot of time on it, and it's an unfortunate thing. I think the sting operation is necessary. I think it's a very good deterrent for retailers not taking it seriously. There have been times in the past, and I've been in this business for 26 years, when I've thought that it was probably unfair to terminate employment because of for simply selling in a sting. Because when you terminate an employee, you take away, you change their life, and you take away their means to, in many cases, feed, clothe, shelter their families, and so you want to make sure you're doing the right thing. But after the second one, and the disappointment and the anger, I no longer believe that. I think it's a necessary addition to the deterrent that the city's got, and it has to be done. It's unfortunate, and I don't know what else to tell you. I think we run a wonderful business. We've made a couple of bad mistakes.
Further questions of John? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Other questions on item 18? Is there others that wish to address the council on item 18, or is there a motion?
I also wanted to mention Lieutenant Greg Vandekamp is here from the police department if you have questions on the sting itself.
Okay, thanks, Lori. Further questions? If not, is there a motion to approve 18?
Move for approval, Benninga.
Benninga moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's seconded. Further comments to approve item number 18? Kevin?
Well, it's unfortunate, but I'm not going to be supporting this motion. Twice a year we get these, as Lori indicated. Twice a year. And it's the worst agenda item I go through every year. And I'm tired of it. The gentleman said it's a good deterrent. When I see over 20% of the establishments failing a sting that is so well known by now, it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm disappointed that the state doesn't do more. They're the ones that are in control of these. We vote to issue them, and then it's out of our control, apparently. Maybe we shouldn't issue them anymore. Maybe we should be more careful about issuing these. But when it comes to renewal, we seem to be powerless here. Either the state won't let us do anything, or we don't have the courage to do anything. But I would urge you to take a look at what it is we're doing every year. And if the state won't do something, perhaps it's time we do it.
Okay, we've got a motion been made and seconded to approve item number 18. Further discussion? Vernon?
Lori, are you aware of the state in recent years taking licenses away?
They have. They have suspended licenses in the past for up to 2 weeks at a time. They have if they meet the criteria for suspension.
Thank you.
Further questions? Bob?
I'd like to ask my fellow counselor, Mr. Kavanaugh, do you have any suggestions as to some course of action that we could take? I guess I was operating under the assumption that we don't have a legal authority to do much.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, the counselor's right. We don't have any authority. That's why I'm suggesting you vote no.
Further questions? Got a motion been made and seconded to approve item number 18. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion to approve will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Councilmember Kavanaugh?
No.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes. All members present voted 7 yes and 1 no. Item 18 has been approved. Let's go to item 19.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city, revising sewer utility rates and charges.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mark Cotter with the Office of Public Works. Tonight we have, as the cover slide says, we've got a executive summary tonight to bring forward to you that we've pared down the full presentations that we've brought to you for the Fiscal Committee on May 16th, informational meeting on May 21st, and the first reading that occurred on June 4th. This presentation covers item 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and item 52. We have essentially 4 slides at the beginning, and then we can go through these one by one if that's the course that you choose. Okay, again, a summary of which rates that we are bringing forward in this package that would be effective on January 1 of 2008 are shown on the slide in front of you. Water reclamation, customer rates, water purification, customer rates, sanitary landfill, the tipping fees, light and power, customer rates, and the street department street frontage fee. Again, those are the ones that would not be effective until January 1 of 2008. The rate adjustments that we're bringing forward to you that would be effective after the effective publication time is the engineering department, 2 fees that are listed. Light and power, these are essentially follow street assessments. and the street department, the water tapping fees. That is item 27. With me tonight is our division managers that, in our respective divisions, that we are bringing these fee increases forward to run our operations. We've showed you this slide in the past to highlight what the typical impact would be to a residential home. One of the first items to point out is the light increase, the $3.31. The majority of the City of Sioux Falls customers are not on the light department. There is nearly 42,000 residential customers, and there is 1,633 residential customers on the light department. So removing the $3.31, the typical home would have an increase of $7.11 per month. And then the street frontage fee that's listed on the bottom, that's an annual increase of $8 a month, $8 a year. Okay, so for item 19, water reclamation rate analysis. Again, a summary of the rate adjustments that we are bringing forward. And as we've talked in the past, last year we predicted that it would be an 18% increase. With adjustments in our operation, it is a 19% increase. The remainder of those updates would follow suit. This is also an off year for the City of Brandon, as our contract only allows us to make rate adjustments in that community once every 2 years. Bottom line for water reclamation, a typical home would see an increase of $3.18 if they had a water consumption of 7,500 gallons per month. And one of the things that was recently asked that you'll see in this presentation today is what's been the recent history and the anticipated rate increases going forward. So we've added this style of slide to you to show you a brief snapshot back. This one here goes back to '99, and then there was a period where there was no rate increases to 2001, a gap, and then 2007 and 2008 today. That is item 19. Yes, Council.
Yes, Mark, the total amount of money that the city anticipates bringing in on this rate increases here.
$2,265,073. That question was asked at the last meeting, what will the total rate increases be for all these revenues, rate adjustments that we're bringing forward, and that is $7,613,567.
Do you want other questions of Mark? On these? How do you, Mark? Do you want to take these one at a time, or just?
Since it's an ordinance, I'm open, Mayor. I can certainly keep going through them.
What's the wishes? Do you want to? I mean, we've been through this. Do you want to go through each one, Kevin?
I prefer to hear the presentation, and we can take one at a time.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, great. Okay, next division is the Water Purification Division. The executive summary on this is that a typical residential house will see an increase in their bill of 13.5%. If they used a monthly consumption of 7,500 gallons per month, they would see that increase to be $2.59. A snapshot back in recent history of what the rate increases have been and proposed. This year we're at 13.5%. Next year we anticipate 14.5% in this utility. Any questions?
And Mark, what's the amount of money this one's going to bring in?
$3,963,049.
Other questions?
Go ahead, Mark.
Sanitary landfill, the last council meeting, we had questions on this, so this has a couple additional slides to it, but it also has a couple of fold-outs that expanded outside of our region to give you a snapshot of where our rates are at in the expanded region and states. Essentially, the two rates that make up the majority of the revenue for the sanitary landfill are the top two, municipal solid waste and construction and debris. Both seeing municipal solid waste seeing an increase of 22.4% and 24.4%. We've showed you this slide before of other significant cities in South Dakota, one listed in Nebraska, two in Minnesota, of where our rates stand in this region. And this slide highlights where our rates stand with the construction and debris. And again, just with the size of the data in that fold-out slide, I did not put that on a slide, but that is additional information for you to look at of where we're at. One of the questions came is, how do we rank with some of the cities that are in some of the more populated metropolitan cities of the cities? And so we can go to that. Looking specifically at municipal solid waste, one of the closest cities in the suburbs of the Twin Cities, Elk River, Minnesota, which is on the bottom, probably the easiest one to look at there, and they are considerably higher, almost threefold higher than the city of Sioux Falls. This is another slide that we've showed you recently to show what a 22% tipping fee increase may bring to a typical residential home. And the assumptions are, if your monthly bill for garbage is $20 per month, if 30% of that is the actual tipping fee, then 30% of the $20 is $6, and then factoring that up by 22% is an additional $1.34 to increase your anticipated bill from $20 to $21.34. Again, we do not regulate the haulers in this town, but that would just give you a sense of what 22% on the tipping fee would may generally run. Here's a snapshot in history of what the rates have been. 94, then there was a substantial gap where there was no rate increase, and then 2006, and where we're at in 2008. You start to see that the rates are beginning to stabilize. We do anticipate raising it by $2 next year. Questions?
How much is that bringing in, Mark?
Let me check on this one for you, sir.
Okay, fine.
Excuse me. The rate increase and additional revenue that will come into the landfill is $1,247,026. Light and power. Two fees that are being raised here. One, again, is customer rate, which we are anticipating a 16% rate increase for this year. 5% going forward for next year. One of the keys is that 60% of the operation of the light department is buying power, and so we're very dependent on what the market is doing, what the water levels are doing, also what the storms are doing in the area states. Second piece of this is on street assessments. As the city builds a street, the cost of a light that goes in, typically the contractor bids labor, and then the city supplies the materials and the wire. And so when those projects are done, an assessment of $225 for the cost of the new light and $3.30 per lineal foot for the wire. That's the light department. Okay, engineering department. This is item 23, which is right-of-way vacation fees, and item 24, subdivision plan review fees. First one is right-of-way vacation fees, and our current fee is $75 per application. To get this closer to what real cost is to process these applications, and to give you a picture of what some of the other comparable cities in our area charge for this, we provided that background. We are proposing to start at $250, and we will begin to track our time by application and provide systematic increases if they're needed going forward. Second item in the engineering department is subdivision plan review fees. And again, up above shows you what other communities charge for this service, and we are proposing $300 per plan plus $10 per lot on a final plan development fee, and on a construction plan review fee would be $100 flat charge. Yes?
Yeah, on this one, see the final plan review fee, that's the brand new fee we're charging, isn't it?
That is a brand new fee. Both of these are brand new fees.
Okay. And we're going to bring in about $600,000 on this, or what is the number on this one?
No, engineering total is about $67,795.
And then on the vacation, we're going to bring in...
Oh, that's combining both of those two.
Oh, okay, combining
Yes.
vacation. And then on the electric, how much were we going to bring in on the electric?
$670,186. Street department. We've showed you this chart. This is a chart that we don't like to look at. Primarily, this shows the trend of what the asphalt has done. In recent years, it's made a significant correction. We've had the benefit since 2000 through 2005 of having a very stable asphalt concrete industry in town, and we've just seen with a strong correction that's been made. We hope that those corrections are going to stabilize. Two things that we'll bring forward tonight is to raise the street frontage fee from 80 cents to 90 cents. Again, this will not go into effect until January of 2008. Here's the snapshot of the history. Back in 2005 began a 5-year increase of 10 cents per year to get it up to $1 in 2009, and that is the history, and also the anticipated increase for next year would be to raise it from 90 cents to $1. Second piece of the street presentation is to look at the actual cost that we do for all the taps that go into residential homes, but also into commercial businesses. One of the primary ones, and I realize this is a difficult slide to see, which is the second line down, the 1-inch PVC taps. If we do not make these corrections and continue to operate with the same amount of taps as we did last year, we would be subsidizing this program $254,113.01. Again, this is the cost to tap a new service at the main and bring it to the property line and set a curb stop at that point. The revenue increase anticipated is $812,794.
Okay, once again, if I could ask Mark, okay, you said 800 and that's for the tapping?
That's combined.
Okay, the tapping and the...
Right, and street frontage.
What's just the street frontage then?
Let me see if we've got that broke down for you. 376,000.
376.
Okay, so the same slide here as was shown at the beginning. This is item 25. This is to address the ordinance change that's required for the collector streets, the work that's been done with the alternative financing and the IRAB committee. And it essentially says that a collector street up to 41 feet wide, the city will, those costs will be bared directly by the abutting property owner. It also addresses the professional services, testing and legal fees associated with facilitating design, construction, and observation of a collector street, which you would normally see either by a petition. And based on that construction contract value, there's a tiered approach to allow us to charge actual costs up to a cap that's listed there in that lower table. And then 52 is essentially just the resolution that allows us to, there's two pieces to the street frontage rate increase, and that's the resolution aspect of it. And we typically do that because we have a third party that collects that, which is the county. Okay. Any questions for myself or our division managers?
Questions? Okay, should we start? Let's start with number 19. Any questions on number 19? Others that wish to address the council on item 19? Council action?
I move for approval, Knutson.
Second, Costello.
Costello seconds. Further comments on the motion to approve item 19?
Well, this is the first one. We're beginning our fee increase voting tonight. As Mark mentioned, all of these fee increases are going to total $7.6 million next year when all of them are fully implemented. I would remind everybody, over a 10-year period, just with this fee increase, there's going to be over $70 million collected. So we're talking a lot of money here. This one, dealing with the sewer utility rates, is going to bring in $2,265,000. And I guess at this time, I haven't seen that the Public Works Department has really justified this. So I would encourage my colleagues on the council to maybe consider voting no on this.
Further comments on the motion to approve item number 19?
First of all, on the utilities, we've talked as a council about running these as a business. That's what the public expects of us, and that users pay for what they consume. The fiscal committee gave direction on this some time ago, saying we need to assess these annually to make sure they're being run like a business, and that they pay not only for the cost, but also for future maintenance, growth, and federal regulations, because a number of these are heavily regulated. And for many years, these weren't looked at annually, and that caught us off guard. So we need to make sure that we run it like a business and pay for the costs and those future costs as well. So to not make those rate corrections would be irresponsible. It means all taxpayers would have to subsidize the users. So I would encourage you to support these utility corrections.
Kevin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilor Brown is right. The Fiscal Policy Committee has worked with Public Works to try to, I think, get our house in order. There were years, and you've seen them in some of these slides here. Water Rec, 6-year gap, no rate adjustment. Landfill, 10-year gap, no rate adjustment. Light Department, 12-year gap, no rate adjustment. If I ran a business like that, I would have been bankrupt decades ago. We simply cannot resist the temptation to do nothing with our enterprise rates and then expect the taxpayers through our sales or general property taxes to subsidize them. That's exactly what is happening here. We cannot allow that to happen. We have much more important things to spend our property and sales taxes on than fees, than to subsidize
these users that are using our landfill, our light department, and our water rec department. I would urge your approval of this one and all the rest of them.
Thank you. Other comments?
Yes, I'm glad that the two members of the fiscal committee want to operate this like a business. However, I guess I would add one word before business, an adjective, an efficient business. I'm not quite sure this is happening here in city government. I don't know if the fiscal committee is considered really operating these like a business by privately contracting this out or not. But I think that's very, very important that we just don't go saying, oh, we're going to operate this like a business. Businesses lose money too. Let's operate this like an efficient business.
Pat?
I'm just curious if Councilor Staggers has any specific examples of inefficiencies that our Public Works Department can work on.
Yes, I'm going to be talking about that as we get to a future ordinance. Yes.
Well, I'll look forward to that. And
I'm looking forward
another
to
thing that I think you should consider is that an indication on how efficient or inefficient our enterprise funds are the comparison of the rates that we pay relative to the other communities around us. And I think we've seen in the various charts and graphs that we certainly are faring well when compared to other communities. And you know, not every community is going to be an exact comparison to what we face in Sioux Falls, but if you look at the spectrum of all the rate increases that we're looking at, on a whole, we rate very well.
If I could respond to that by saying, yes, you pick out certain cities. You can come up with anything you want.
And if you've got any information on statistical information from other cities, I'd be glad to see it.
Kevin?
Well, Councilor Staggers talks about adding more cities and adding more cities. I think we started with a list of 15 cities, then we went to 25 cities. This one, it's on 2 pages now. It must be 40 cities. I don't know how many he wants. We still rank at or below the average. And do I like raising fees here? No, I don't. But I also do not like putting the burden on the general tax dollar for services that are rendered to our citizens. They're using water, lights, landfill. There is nothing in these fees that covers profit. They're not padding bills here. They're covering expenses. And we have to understand that.
What Kevin said is fact, is right, is all we're doing is really trying to cover the cost of enterprise funds, and I really applaud Public Works and all the people there for the work that they put into this to really make sure that that's what we're doing. So I really applaud you for your efforts.
I just want to put the rate increases into perspective and highlight a number that Mark Cotter talked about. $7.11 a month increase for landfill, water, and sewer altogether. Just last month, I got notice from one of my private utility providers of my increase in that private bill is more than that for one utility. So I think that taxpayers can rest assured that the public utilities are being operated very efficiently.
Yeah, I guess I would say that we also have to take a look at this historically. For the past several years now, the city has been raising fees in many, many different areas, not just Public Works, but also many, many areas. And of course, the reason is just to simply generate more money. So we have to take a look at this historically too. This is a pattern that we've had developed now over the past several years of raising fees. And I think you can see what's going on here. This pattern is going to continue well into the future. And we're not talking about minor increases in rates. We're talking about substantial increases.
You know, you're right, Councilor Staggers, that we're covering our cost, or we're raising these fees, but they're raising our fees to cover our costs. And you have a legitimate argument on whether or not the money that we're generating is spent wisely and efficiently. But to sit here from behind the desk and say that it's being wasted or that it's not efficient is really unfair. I mean, if you truly believe there's inefficiencies out there, I would imagine that you should spend a lot of time with the Director of Public Works and the division heads to go through their departments and help them ascertain to where the money is being inefficiently spent. And until you do that, I think the argument that there's a waste, and sure, these guys aren't perfect. They know that, you know, there's always room for improvement in a lot of areas, but you have to give them the benefit of the doubt until you're going to put the time in and go out there and help them figure out their departments. Give them the benefit of the doubt.
Well, I don't think we ought to be automatically rubber stamping. I mean, this is not good to do that. Now, what's going to be happening here when we talk about the budget and we talk about the CIPs? You're wondering, you know, well, what can I do to make some more efficiencies in government? Well, I'm going to be presenting those things like I do every year. And so this coming August and September, listen closely, I'll be having a number of amendments.
Okay, we've got a motion made and seconded to approve item number 19. I see no further discussion. All in favor of the motion to approve item 19 will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Councilmember Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes. All members present voted, 7 yes, 1 no. Item 19 has been approved. Item number 20. Is there anyone that wishes to address council on item number 20?
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by increasing water rates.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve. Brown.
Brown moved. Is there a second?
Second, Jameson.
Jameson seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve item 20?
This one here, we're going to be increasing the rates to bring in $3,963,000 for water. I'm going to be voting for this one because I think the Public Works Department has provided good justification for this. And I think all of us realize this is so important for the Lewis and Clark Water Project. But having said I'm going to be voting for this, that doesn't mean that we should just automatically rubber stamp these rates increases in the future. We have to take a look at each year.
Okay, thank you. Further comments? Seeing no further comments, all in favor of the motion to approve item 20 will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes. All members present voted. Item number 20 has been approved 8-0. Item 21.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by revising Chapter 18 thereof, increasing landfill rates.
Anyone wish to address the council on item number 21? Is there a motion?
Move for approval, Jameson.
Jameson moved. Is there a second?
Second, Costello.
Costello seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve item number 21?
This one is a rate increase to bring in $1,247,000. I'm very concerned about this landfill increase, but let me go back historically. In 2002, we had the landfill being transferred from the Health Department to the Public Works Department. Before the transfer, the landfill was making money. And then after the landfill was transferred to the Public Works Department, we start losing money, wanting additional rate increases, and so forth. So I'm very concerned here about the landfill and the efficiency of its operation. You know, in the past, we've talked about liners, whether we need liners in the landfill. The EPA says no. The South Dakota Department of Natural Resources says no. We have the city saying yes, and now we're talking about additional revenue needed for liners, which could be in the millions of dollars. It doesn't make sense to put liners in when it's not required to do.
On that one, I do have to have, Jason, you want to respond?
Mr. Chairman, while he's
Go ahead, Councilor.
while Jason is approaching the podium, I'll just remind everybody of the graphic we saw. 1994 to 2004, 10 years, no increase in the landfill rates.
Why are we so eager for
Let's
increases?
go, Jason, go ahead. Tell them what we've done out there and how far we've come.
Jason Kahn, landfill superintendent. In 2003, we started closing off portions of the landfill, and there have been a lot of expenses since then. Some of the major expenses are the landfill leachate and gas recovery system, which we are working hand in hand with the DENR on putting in. That's amounted to several $1 million in costs since then. Construction of Cell 1, finishing that in 2004, amounted to about $750,000. Installation of leachate pond number 1 was about $750,000. We've also installed a new compost pad to allow us to expand our construction and demolition debris area in the landfill. That was at a cost of about $1.8 million. And we also have increased the landfill equipment out at the landfill. And what that's amounted to is an increased compaction ratio. And we determine that as pounds per cubic yard of space out at the landfill. We've effectively went from about 650 pounds per cubic yard to around 1,250 or 1,300 pounds per cubic yard. If you relate that into landfill space, we've actually doubled our landfill life in the last 3 years.
No, that's, if I can just respond, that's great. How much revenue did you bring in during that period of time?
Well, we have brought in revenues. One of the things that should be realized is we are required by state and federal law to keep a restricted amount of cash in our reserves for post-closure and closure costs. And that is where we were really lacking at those costs. It's costing us millions of dollars to put in this leachate and gas management system as well as close the landfill, when prior to, we weren't actually looking at putting in a leachate and gas recovery system in this pre-subtitle D area. The state of South Dakota, in working with us, has not mandated that. If we would not be complying with them voluntarily, we would have had to put that system in with a period of 18 months. They are giving us a period of 3 to 5 years to install that system. All totaled, that system is going to cost about $10 to $15 million. And that started in 2005, going all the way through probably 2010. Had we had to put that in by mandate, we would have had to spend that money already. Plus, we would have had to close that portion of the landfill off. In working with the state, we've been able to delay some of those costs, spread them out over several years. Effectively, we're still actually in the pre-subtitle D area. And if you look back at the plans when Public Works took over, we were actually supposed to construct and be into Cell 2 last year or the year before. We haven't even constructed Cell 2 yet.
So how much revenue have you brought in since 2003?
I don't have those exact numbers.
Okay.
Jason, could you expand on the whole liner issue, on what's required, what's not required?
Yeah, I have some information that I would share on that too. The liner for Cell 2, specifically the bottom liner, which the EPA would require, the state of South Dakota has the ability not to require that. EPA guidance mandates that there be liners, and then it's state delegation to either prove that they're not needed or they are needed. And they have said that in our case, we could get by without one. The reasons that we would like to put one in is that they are a small fraction of the cost. It's about 9% of the cost of the Cell 2 construction. And this is estimates only, about $350,000 out of the $3.9 million. And the reasons that we feel that they should be put in are several. Limits environmental liability to the city of Sioux Falls. If we don't put that liner in, and if there is a problem in the future, the city, not anybody else, is liable for that problem. Additional operational flexibility for the landfill. We plan on doing leachate recirculation or a biostabilization project in our expansion area at the landfill for several reasons. Increased compaction, increased settlement, increased landfill gas generation, cleaning up the leachate quality at the landfill. And the reason for doing that, when we close this landfill in 2050 or 2060, we have to monitor it and take care of it for the next 30 years after that. With some of these things that we want to do, we can potentially bring that down from 30 years to maybe 7 to 10 years and not have to look at it as a problem after that. If we don't put the liner in the bottom of the landfill, we may not be able to do leachate recirculation or a biostabilization project at the landfill, because the EPA has strict standards that you have to have a synthetic liner to do some of those projects. Whether or not the state of South Dakota or not would want that, we wouldn't be able to do it because the EPA says we can't. Environmental responsibility to the public. We feel that as a public agency, we are obligated to be environmentally responsible to our citizens. By putting in a bottom line or a synthetic liner on the bottom of the landfill, we are reducing that environmental liability. It improves our landfill gas collection capabilities. Any liner on the bottom or sides allows less oxygen infiltration into the landfill, thus improving the capacity to collect it. And then lastly, again, I mention again, it's a small percentage of the landfill construction cost for a cell. Even smaller in the future when we get into some of the other cells. But
our landfill is open to a number of people other than the citizens of Sioux Falls. So if we don't raise our rates, we're essentially subsidizing other communities and their sanitary.
yes, we would be. And to date, we have not used any general tax dollars or property taxes at the landfill.
Kevin?
Jason, Councilor Staggers just a moment ago threw out some unsubstantiated charge about this rate increase is all to be laid at the feet of transferring your department from the Health Department to Public Works. Can you tell me, were there any increased costs associated with that move?
There were no increased costs associated with the move. The increased costs have been operational. Our fuel costs have almost essentially doubled. Equipment costs, a prime example of that would be, we purchased two-wheeled scrapers at the landfill recently. When we purchased those in 2000, they were about $250,000 to $300,000 a piece. The latest costs are about $750,000. Equipment costs, especially landfill equipment, due to the weight and the amount of steel in the equipment, almost all of the pieces of equipment we utilize have went up double. And our equipment ranges in $500,000 to $750,000 range.
And how much money was in reserve when the transfer took place to the?
I believe the total reserves at that time were somewhere in the $8 to $9 million range. I don't have the numbers with me. Right now, what we have in reserve is right around $7.5 to $8 million. And what we're trying to do is build those reserves up. It should be noted that a significant portion of those reserves are in our restricted cash, and that amounts to about $5.2 million right now. Over the next 3 to 5 years, that reserve will be significantly depleted, and then we will begin to rebuild that over the next 30 to 40 years, so we have that post-closure/closure fund money in reserve when we close the landfill in 2050 or 60, whenever it turns out to be. So those reserves are there for a reason. Where we're lacking is in the operational monies right now, the unrestricted cash.
Because I believe that $8 million in reserve, when it was transferred, was spent down.
No, it wasn't. Actually, a significant portion of that reserve was reallocated into restricted cash. Last year, we had $7.4 million in there. We spent a significant portion of that on our leachate and gas recovery system, which the state of South Dakota allowed us to remove from our restricted cash reserves. Otherwise, that would have came out of our operational funds. Because it was considered a closure-related activity, it was able to be taken out of our restricted cash. So those funds were not depleted down, they were transferred into restricted cash. Operational funds have continued to be spent as normal.
Jason, so the idea of setting aside reserves to close cells as they become full, in essence, charges the user at the time for helping close those cells. It's a better
That is true.
matching.
That is one of the things that over the last 12 to 14 years, we've begun taking a closer look at those costs now. One of the things that we should be charging for those costs as we are operating the landfill. We're essentially trying to recover some of those costs that we haven't recovered over the last 12 to 14 years, and that is part of the reasons why rates have had to gone up so much.
Just for the public's benefit, too, I also want to point out that we have had 4 open meetings on these utility rate increases. We have spent, by my estimate, 5 hours on these, so this is hardly a rubber stamp. I can think of much easier ways to do it if it was a rubber stamp approach. Furthermore, I can't imagine the hours that the independent consultant put into all of these rate studies as well. Much time and effort and thought goes into those things. And finally, I want to mention, too, looking at the charts that you've handed out, in terms of the landfill rate increase, even after our increases, communities like Vermilion, Mitchell, Brookings, Rapid City, and Puckwana all have higher landfill rates than what we will after this increase.
I would also like to mention that we took this increase through the Solid Waste Planning Board and a haulers meeting, and the Solid Waste Planning Board completely supports it, and the haulers were in support of it as long as we could justify it. So I don't believe there are any haulers in the audience, and that proves that we have taken it. If you remember past increases, we had haulers at every increase fighting us, and we have went above and beyond to make everybody aware of this.
And we're in it's a 5-county region that we're in, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah,
We
so we're
service Lake, Lincoln, McCook, Minnehaha, and Turner counties.
that use that landfill as well. But no, I really applaud for what you've done out there, and you've done great strides in that landfill. And that landfill is really something to be proud of what we've done. So I really applaud you for that. Further comments? Got a motion been made and seconded. Motion by Jameson, second by Costello to approve item 21. All in favor of that motion will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
No.
Benega,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
All members present voted, 7 yes, 1 no. Item 21 has been approved. Item number 22.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by amending the schedule of rates to be charged by the City Light and Power Department for furnishing electric current for light and power purposes.
Others that wish to address the council on item number 22. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Okay, Costello, is there a second?
Second, Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve, item 22. Seeing no further comments, go ahead.
Yeah, on this one here, I think there's been justification for the rate increase, so I'll be voting yes on this one, like the rest of my colleagues.
Thank you. Further comments? All in favor of the motion to approve item 22 will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Benega,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 22 has been approved 8-0. Item 23.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending Chapter 38, right-of-way vacation petition of the revised ordinances of the city.
Others that wish to address the council on item number 23. Is there a motion by the council to approve?
I move for approval, Knutson.
Knutson moves. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconded. Further comments? See no further comments. All in favor of the motion to approve item 23 will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
No.
Benega,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
All members present voted, 7 yes, 1 no. Item 23 has been approved. Item 24.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by adding a new Article 10 to Chapter 38 of the Code of Ordinances entitled Plan Review Fees.
Others that wish to address the council on item number 24. Is there a motion by the council to approve item 24?
I move for approval, Knutson.
Knutson moves. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconded. Are there further comments on the motion to approve item 24? Kermit?
Yeah, these are just simply new fees. And it's just a moneymaker.
Okay. Further comments? Kevin?
So there are new fees. The point the counselor is making would be what?
The point I'm going to make here is that every time we increase fees dealing with housing and so forth, this is also passed on. And so unfortunately, we've been getting more and more fees on new housing, and the result is this is increasing the cost of housing in Sioux Falls to the detriment of buyers. What we should be striving to do in Sioux Falls is to try to have the fees as low as possible to keep the cost of housing down, to make it easier for people to buy homes.
I would certainly go along with that if everybody understands that the rest of us then will absorb that cost. We are not talking about creating fees for the sake of creating them. We are talking about fees covering legitimate, necessary costs. And if you want to not charge the user directly, then we do it indirectly through a tax subsidy.
Well, I guess I would say that we have a number of unnecessary regulations when it comes to housing and unnecessary, unreasonable requirements. And so we should start thinking about looking at removing some of those from the ordinances.
Well, the council has been through that. We go through it every 3 years. We just recently did that. And, you know, your charge that it's irresponsible and overbearing regulations has not been founded to be true by the rest of this council.
And again, Vernon, this has been through your committee at length, and they've discussed it fully and came through with that. So.
And I would just follow up, I think anyone that's on a fixed income would not want to be subsidizing the new houses in town with these fees. And furthermore, in many cases, these fees still aren't covering the true cost of the engineering staff to do this work. So they're hardly fees there to make money.
Further comments? We've got a motion by Knutson, seconded by Litz to approve item 24. See no further comments. All in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 24 has been approved. 7 yes, 1 no. Item 25.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending Chapter 38 of the revised ordinances of the city.
Others who wish to address the council on item number 25. Is there Bob Litz?
I do just have a comment here, you know, on section 38-32.1, assessment for arterial street improvements, it says in here that our owners on the arterials, which is basically commercial streets that are abundant in our city, it says that the street will be assessed for street improvements and/or any required sidewalks, excluding sidewalks maintenance or repair of the property owner. Now, if I read that right, that means whoever has the property on the arterial is responsible for repairing the sidewalks. Is that correct?
I'll address that. Essentially what we did here, Mr. Litz, is that we identified who would actually pay for a collector street, which is C. And then the way it was wrote prior is in the next section, which is 3832-1. And the qualifying statement there is in A that says without direct access, and that is the current policy.
Okay,
so our current policy would stand.
On the older arterials, the property owners are the ones with access. I mean, the people that are responsible for the sidewalk are the ones with the access. On some of the newer arterials where there is no access, like let's say
That's
Minnesota
correct.
Avenue between 57th and 69th Street, there's a big chunk of they're not responsible there.
That's correct. I'll just confirm. Is that correct? That's correct. If you don't have access, you do not pay that assessment.
Okay, very good. There's just one thing here, you know, and I'm not against raising the cost at all, but, you know, I ride my bicycle a lot on city streets. And, you know, recently the neighborhood that I live in had gotten the pink spray on it, and a number of folks have had to fix their sidewalks, myself included. I don't have a problem with that at all. It's just that it seems to me there's kind of a double standard here. I go down Minnesota Avenue, I go down 41st Street, I go down 10th Street, I go down West 12th Street. The sidewalks are deplorable. If I'm walking, it's one thing. Riding my bike's a hazard. I couldn't even imagine trying to negotiate it with a wheelchair. And I'm just hoping that some of the increases that we're going to get from here could be used for repairing some of those streets. And I'd like those streets to be held to the same standard that our residential streets are. I think it'd be only fair, Mark.
Understand.
Further comments on 25? Is there a motion to approve?
Move for approval, Jameson.
Jameson moves. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve item 25? Seeing no further comments, all in favor of the motion approved, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present and voted. Item 25 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 no. Item 26.
Second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending Chapter 41, Utilities of the revised ordinances of the city by adjusting the fee schedule for the light department.
Others who wish to address the council on item 26. Is there a motion by the council to approve?
Move to approve, Brown.
Second, Costello.
Brown moved, Costello seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve? See no further motions. All in favor, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes. All members present and voted. 8 yes. Item 27.
Second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending Chapter 41, Utilities of the revised ordinances of the city by adjusting the fee schedule for the water department.
Others wish to address the council on item 27. Is there a motion to approve by the council?
Move for approval.
Kavanaugh, is there a second?
I second that, Knutson.
Knutson seconds. Further comments? Seeing no further comments, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes. All members present have voted. Item 27 has been approved 8-0. Item 28.
Second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by increasing permitted front foot street assessments.
Others wish to address the council on item number 28. Is there council discussion or motion to approve?
Move for approval, Jamison.
Jameson moved. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconded. Further comments? Go ahead.
Yes, on this one here, of course, this is the front footage assessment for street maintenance. I think we're all aware that we have 0.92% that was mentioned in the past for streets, and here we have an additional assessment for streets. This is unnecessary. And so since we've already in the past designated certain penny for streets, this should be voted against.
Further comments, Bob?
I would remind everyone that when the original thing was passed for the 1 cent second penny sales tax to be used for streets, maintenance was not a portion of that 1 penny. Since that time, maintenance has become a portion of that 1 penny. And even back when that was enacted, the 50 cents a front foot that was established back then would not pay for the maintenance of your street in front of your home over the life of that street of the 10 to 15 years. With the increased cost in asphalt that we've seen in the last 2 years, we certainly are falling behind on what it costs to maintain a street in front of yours and my home. And I would encourage your support.
Well, I would remind the council that before we started this increase to 60, 70, 80, 90, that was started way before we started having the increase in the asphalt. This is just another revenue generator, and what we should be focusing on once again is that second penny for the streets.
Okay, we've got a motion that's been made by Jameson, seconded by Litz, to approve item 28. Further comments? I see no further comments. All in favor of approving item 28, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
No.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 28 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 no. Item 29.
Second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, approving the sale of real estate belonging to the City of Sioux Falls and directing deed of conveyance be delivered to the purchaser thereof. Uptown Phase 1.
Erica Beck, City Planning. Item 29 is the second reading for the ordinance that would allow the sale of the Phase 1 Uptown property. Per the request of the Uptown Development Group, I'm requesting a deferral of this item until July 16th. This item is being requested for deferral due to an engineering concern that's related to drainage in the general area of 4th Street and Main Avenue. Although we're deferring or recommending deferral of this item, I'd just like to reiterate the commitment to the success of this project from both the city and the development group. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
So you got a motion to defer, was it July 15th?
16th.
16th, okay, excuse me. Kevin?
I'd just like to remind this council, commitments go both ways. The original commitment was to pay the money in one lump sum, and when we have this second reading on July 16th, I hope that staff would advise the petitioners that they'll probably get asked about that payment methodology.
I believe Councilor Kavanaugh is absolutely correct. It says in Section 8 here, and it specifies the amount of over $1 million. And I think that the TIF that was provided for these folks was a very generous one. I just I'd like to see the original numbers that we agreed to come back. Thank you.
Eric, I'm just curious, why did they want a delay? I mean, I know there's the issues with drainage and that. I would assume they're going to expect the city to remedy that then? Is that?
They're looking for just they brought their building plans to the city, and as a result of that process and initiation, they found out about these drainage issues that they didn't necessarily realize were there and present. They need to find a resolution with the city and their consultants in order to be able to build what they told us they were going to build in the first place. As Mark told you at informational, a lot of it has to do with the fact that they want underground parking, which is what we want to promote within the downtown area anyway, due to it being a dense environment and the necessity of having underground parking on site. And that's one of the things that they need to resolve before they wanted to move forward at this point.
And I understand that. I guess and maybe it's a question for Gary, but if we were to pass this, are they still obligated from their side of it?
No.
So, I'm not sure why we're delaying it, but I mean, they're not obligated for whatever decision we make, but I guess I'm happy to defer it, but I don't know why.
Further comments? The request is to defer item 29 until July 16th.
Move to defer till July 16th.
Second, Kavanaugh.
Jameson moved, Kavanaugh seconded. Further comments on the motion to defer until July 16th? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to defer until July 16th will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present and voted. Item 29 has been deferred until July 16th. Item 30.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city to allow for city boards and commissions to receive their orientation materials on a CD or online.
Good evening. I'm Mary Hubble with the Office of the Mayor. We provide orientation to our citizen board members usually once a year. The history on this, in the past, it's been offered through the city attorney's office and through the city clerk's office. Last year, Karen Leonard and myself presented this. In this day and age of technology, we're looking at being able to put this on CD and on our website for any new members to our citizen boards. In the past, we presented this book, and it has anything from home rule charter to the listing of each of the boards, the criteria, all of you as city council members, and Robert's Rule of Orders, anything along that line to assist a citizen board member. And so what we're just wanting to do now is to provide it so it's easier to access. I think mostly because many of our members are active participants in their jobs, in the community as volunteers, and we want to make it as simple as possible. I'll take any questions.
Questions of Mary on item number 30. Others that wish to address the council on item number 30? Is there a motion?
I move for approval. Knutson.
Knutson moves, second.
Costello.
Costello seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve item 30? Seeing no further motion or discussion, all in favor will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present voted 8-0. Item 30 has been approved. Item 31.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, allowing transfer of real property to the Affordable Housing Program.
Good evening. Randy Bartunik, Director of Community Development. This ordinance would simply allow the City Council to consider future ordinances for the transfer of city-owned properties to Community Development's affordable housing programs, and specifically it would be the Neighborhood Revitalization Program. When individual sites are identified, they would be brought back to the council for consideration on an individual basis.
Questions of Randy on item number 31. Others wish to address the council on item 31. Bob.
Randy, maybe for the public, just an idea of what could be done with those properties,
Certainly.
whether it's a house moved into it or a home built or
Certainly.
whatever.
The Neighborhood Revitalizations Program, the primary goal is to work on areas of town that are blighted or underutilized. And these specific lots may not always be in blighted neighborhoods, but it's a chance and an opportunity, I think, that we have to work on creating affordable housing. So on these, like you said, we would either find a home, move it into that particular lot, or either construct a new home on the site and then sell it to an income-qualified family.
Bob Litz.
I think this is a real good idea. I've looked at it for quite a bit. It would take some of the inventory that you're currently mowing, and a couple of them you've been mowing for quite a while, maintaining them. There's no sense in doing this, and it'll put them back on the property tax roll, as well as providing a site for some entry-level housing in Sioux Falls.
Other comments? Is there a motion to approve?
I so move Knutson.
Knutson moved. Second. Brown seconded. Further discussion? See no further discussion. All in favor of the motion to approve item 31, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 31 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 no. We will take a break until, let's come back at 10:09.
What's the alternative? I mean, well, I can't do this. That's the somebody bought something. Okay, I'll buy it.
It's good to see you. Yeah, it's just, I know we could put with some days. I know a place. Oh, man, that's, you know, what they don't come up with. But somebody had to design that. It'll put something, how does I do that?
I got them for the staff a little bit.
That is, that, well, I'll tell you, we got a lot of items left.
Pause this thing, so it just keeps running.
First reading should have it fast. I should. Well, you know, we could just take items 32 through 49 all in one go.
I have to hit activate, and I gotta wait for the stuff to come up.
I heard it at the beginning.
You'll be fine.
You and me both.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Mike's just gonna see how fast he can rattle them off. See if we can get him to. Yeah, Augie's, it's Augie Day. Is it? Yeah. D1. Did it? I was ready to keep rocking. I was ready to keep going. I really was. I was ready.
I know.
I was ready to keep. I really was. I didn't hear anything. We just
I said that was
they were probably cut from the same cloth.
Can't serve two masters.
Yeah, I spoke to senior citizens the day the red light started to make.
Why do we have to have officer or somebody standing there catching somebody doing something wrong?
What a waste of resources.
Terrible, terrible.
It'd take at least 2 officers, if not more, one to spot them, and then
Run them down.
it's dangerous for the officers. Chase them down in traffic. It's a bigger traffic hazard.
I don't, matter of fact, I think they're ought to be more.
That's what that guy said too. They said, why don't you have more?
What was that?
I didn't thought I had
In the microphone, please.
even in the paper they shots that you overwhelmingly supported. It's the same approach in the legislature. It's the same exact thing. It's just that he was one of the Senate, so it's just not even heard. That's what he's sitting there.
Yeah, I thought they were Hooters. Not mine.
Thank you for going through that 4 times.
I got to feel like you're the president of my school. Nobody wanted this. A little extra was somebody has to keep the best right.
That's why I brought up these
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised to see Craig Reagan as well as he's done through the years.
The meeting will resume in 1 minute.
Yeah.
It's probably breaking on that stick.
Oh, we got a new toy?
Okay, let's get started. Okay, we are back in session here. Let's start with item number 32.
Item 32, first reading, major amendment, 2007-04-03, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending Chapter 15.45.070, Plan Development Districts, allowing changes in land use as reflected in the revised sub-area regulations, South Bedford Avenue between East 41st Street and East 42nd Street, to allow for a dance studio. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Mike Cooper, Planning and Building Services. We have a number of items tonight for first reading. All of these have been recommended for approval by the Planning Commission. And to my knowledge, there are no neighborhood issues that we're aware of at this time. This is a portion of the development called Brady Estates East. There's approximately 1 acre of this development that is currently allowed for either office or multifamily development. And the developer is proposing this amendment to allow a future dance studio to be constructed on this property.
Questions of Mike on item number 32, 33.
First reading, rezone 2007-05-17, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 1210 and 1212 West 28th Street.
This is an existing duplex on 28th Street owned by Augustana College. The zoning is to expand the campus to include this property, and the college is considering this as a possible location for a future student housing site.
Questions of Mike on item 33. Bob?
Are the existing homes going to be used, or are they going to be redone, or what?
I believe they would be used
Okay.
as a theme student housing site, and they would have to come back through with a conditional use permit to do that.
Further questions, Chairman?
Yeah, Mike, is this spot zoning or not?
No, this is an expansion of their existing campus, which is the gray area on the map. That's part of their existing campus. They're expanding the boundaries, the edges.
Further questions? Kevin?
What is theme housing?
Theme housing is a land use category that we have by conditional use that allows a number of unrelated individuals to live in there. It's supervised by the college, and it doesn't have to go through a conditional use application.
Further questions of Mike in 33. Let's go 34.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending Appendix B of the revised ordinances of the city by amending the definition of personal services. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is an amendment to the zoning ordinance that would add dance studios into the definition of personal service allowed uses. And these are typically found in office or commercial zoning districts.
Questions of Mike? 34. Bob Litz.
Hey, Mike, can you give me a few more examples of what personal services entails? And
Yes, personal service is currently defined establishments primarily engaged in providing services involving the care of a person or their apparel, including but not limited to laundry, dry cleaning, garment services, coin-operated laundries, photography studios, art studios, beauty shops, barbershops, shoe repair, salons, health clubs, and clothing rentals.
thank you.
Further questions on 34. 35. Kevin, 34.
So Mike, on this, if we added the definition to include dance studio, that would then become a permitted use rather than a conditional use?
Yes.
All right.
Further questions? Let's go to 35.
First reading, rezone 2007-03-24, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 85th Street and South Minnesota Avenue to reflect the future land use allocations of the 2015 land use map and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is approximately 80 acres of land in the northeast corner of 85th in Minnesota. The City Council has previously approved the annexation and land use amendment for this property, and this zoning would bring us into conformance with the land use amendment. It shows future recreation conservation, residential, low density, medium density, office and commercial, as well as future right-of-way for streets.
Questions of Mike on 35?
Just as a question, maybe it's for Chad more than anything else, does this solve the right-of-way problems that were existing out there that the state was having?
Go ahead. South Minnesota Avenue.
As far as I know, our Chad Hebe, Office of Public Works Engineering Division, are you referring to the right-of-way issues on 85th or
Minnesota Avenue.
Minnesota in reference to the project of rebuilding that portion of the street? I believe the right-of-way issues, for the most part, have been taken care of, and I know that the DOT plans on letting that project, I believe, July 18th.
Okay.
And then they would be building, I believe, the east half, or reconstructing the east half of that portion of Minnesota Avenue this year, or getting as much done as they can, and then finishing the project next year.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions on 35?
This shows an additional 77 feet of right-of-way on the east side of Minnesota Avenue, and that will come back at a later date as the subdivision plan that you'll be able to see in more detail.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Let's go to 36.
First reading, rezone 2007-04-26, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 1413 South Menlo Avenue to relocate an existing private club, a hospital ladies auxiliary, from 1104 South Menlo Avenue to the subject property, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is a petition by Sanford Medical to use an existing single-family residence as a new location for the hospital ladies auxiliary club, and this rezoning would allow that to be relocated.
Questions of Mike on item 36? 37.
First reading, rezone 2007-05-02, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, rezoning property at northeast corner of East 57th Street and South Dakota Highway 11 to allow the subdivision and development of commercial uses and to conserve a section of wetlands and drainage land, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This property was recently annexed, and we did a land use amendment, which will have been approved by the City Council. The zoning of approximately 50 acres will divide it into about 45 acres for future commercial development, and the balance of the 5 acres will be for drainage purposes.
Questions of Mike on item 37? Let's go to 38.
First reading, rezone 2007-05-03, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 1201 South Lyons Avenue to construct a 127-unit extended stay hotel with accessory parking, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is approximately 2 acres of land on the east side of I-29, and the proposed development is for an extended stay hotel. The name that we've been given up to this point would be a Value Place Hotel, would be the name of the proposed development.
Questions of Mike on item 38? Let's go to 39.
First reading, rezone 2007-05-04, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property east of I-229 between 60th Street North and East Benson Road for the purpose of the future subdivision and development of light industrial uses, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is approximately 162 acres of land owned by Sioux Falls Development Foundation, and it is proposed for future development of industrial uses. This is called Development Park 8.
Questions of Mike on 39? 40.
First reading, rezone 2007-05-08, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at East 60th Street North and North Sycamore Avenue for the purpose of future subdivision and development of light industrial uses, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is approximately 35 acres of land located adjacent to the previous item. This is currently owned by Runge Enterprises and is also planned for future light industrial development.
Questions of Mike on item number 40? Item 41.
First reading, rezone 2007-0510, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls rezoning property at 1924 South Prairie Avenue to expand the college campus and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
The next three items are vacant lots owned by Augustana College, and they're rezoning this for purposes of future expansion of the campus. This is an existing vacant lot.
Questions of Mike on item 41, 42, if you want to just...
First reading, rezone 2007-0512, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 2324 South Summit Avenue to expand the college campus. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is a vacant lot owned by Augustana College, proposed for future expansion of their campus.
Questions? Okay, let's go to 43.
First reading, rezone 2007-0511, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls rezoning property at 1939 South Summit Avenue to expand the college campus. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is a vacant property owned by Augustana College, proposed for future campus expansion.
Questions? Okay, let's go to 44.
First reading, rezone 2007-0514, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 2408 South Summit Avenue for use as a college-owned theme house for student housing, and an application for a conditional use permit will be submitted for the next Planning Commission meeting, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is an existing residential structure owned by Augustana College and is proposed to be used in the future for themed student housing, and they would be required to come back through with a conditional use permit application.
Questions of Mike on item 44? 45.
First reading, rezone 2007-0515, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 2404 South Summit Avenue for use as a college-owned theme house for student housing, and a conditional use permit will be submitted for the next Planning Commission meeting, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is an existing residential structure owned by Augustana College and is proposed to be developed for future theme student housing.
Questions of Mike on item 45? Item 46.
First reading, rezone 2007-0516, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 2404 South Euclid Avenue for use as a college-owned theme house for student housing, and a conditional use permit will be submitted for the next Planning Commission meeting. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is an existing residential structure owned by Augustana College and is proposed for future student housing.
Yeah, Mike, I guess I have a question. We've had so many of those right now, and I'm just wondering, it's going to be zoned institutional.
Yes.
So I guess, why do they really need a conditional use permit for this?
The conditional use, as we went through the whole group home discussion and updating our ordinances, was felt that this type of housing needed to go through some type of a review process so that we could review them on a case-by-case basis in terms of neighborhood concerns, parking, the number of bedrooms, all those kind of things we could look at. And then how the college was going to manage those individual properties.
Further questions? Bob Jameson.
Mike, we've had some discussion with concerning how many people constitute a family and how many can live in a home. What kind of criteria is being used for these homes to establish 4 or 7 students living on those homes?
We look at the size of the structure, the number of bedrooms, parking, all those different things, the size of the square footage of the available space.
And they're, of course, under the supervision of the college, whereas the others are the individual landowners. But is this similar in the, shall we say, the occupancy level that will be looked at by, to be recommended for us in other types of housing?
Yeah, I think the big difference with these is that they are supervised. They're required to be supervised by the college as opposed to just a private landowner. And so there is a different degree of review that we can go through, and that's all laid out in the ordinance that we adopted.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? If not, let's go to 47.
First reading, rezone 2007-0518, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 600 North Main Avenue to provide for a mixed-use urban downtown development titled Uptown at Falls Park. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is a portion of the Uptown at Falls Park proposed development, and it's approximately 1.6 acres of land area. We're changing it from the C2 to the central business, which is the C3 zoning district, to make it consistent with the balance of the property that we have up on that area. And this will include both renovation of existing structures as well as new construction. At least we hope that's what's going to happen in the near future on this property.
Questions of Mike on item 47? Let's go to 48.
First reading, rezone 2007-0521, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at East 85th Street and South Kiwanis Avenue for the development of a church, classrooms, preschool, daycare, garage, and the potential development of any permissive, permitted special, conditional, or accessory use allowed in the S institutional district and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is approximately 10 acres of land that is proposed for the future church use as well as the accessory uses that are described in the agenda. The applicant is the Living World Free Lutheran Church, and this would be just southwest of the Lincoln Rural Water Towers that are out along 85th Street.
Questions of Mike on item 48? 49.
First reading, rezone 2007-0427, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 1305 West 18th Street from the Sioux Valley Hospital Campus Plan Development District to the Sanford USD Medical Center Plan Development District to rename the Plan Development District. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Some time ago, the City Council considered a request by Sanford Medical to expand the boundaries of their campus to the east. And at that time, the question was raised when the name change would be from Sioux Valley Plan Development to Sanford Medical. And now your wish has come true, so we're bringing this forward. This does not impact the boundaries. All it does is impact the name.
Questions of Mike on item number 49? Not, thank you. Is there a motion to set the hearing date for items 32 through 49 for July 2nd?
I so move. Knutson.
Knutson moved.
Second, Costello.
Costello seconded. Further comments? See no further comments. All in favor of the motion to approve items 32 through 49 for July 2nd will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. The hearing date has been set for the second reading for items 32, 30, 39, 80, item 50.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, approving a lease agreement being a 50-year lease of city land for the purpose of a vehicle driveway and lawn area located adjacent to First Bank and Trust, 2300 West 57th Street, Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
This lease involves city-owned property on the north side of 57th Street, west of Western Avenue, and is just east of the bank's new building that is being constructed. The strip of land is 17 feet wide by 95 feet long. This lease, this proposed lease tonight, replaces a one-year lease agreement that currently exists. The value of this 50-year lease is $5,000. The lease area will be used for a portion of their driveway and landscaping. The lessee is also completing a conditional gifting agreement in the amount of approximately $25,000. They're working on this agreement with the Parks Department for landscaping improvements along the Big Sioux River Greenway. In addition, the lessee will maintain this area instead of the Parks Department. Public Works, Planning, and the Parks Department recommends approval of this lease.
Questions, Chad, on Act 50?
Yeah, I guess I don't understand, what's the connection between, having this lease with land adjacent to the bank and giving $25,000 to the Greenway?
There is no connection. A picture up here is a landscape diagram of what this area will look like once the bank is built. They have always talked about doing greenway improvements down in that area.
Okay.
Why don't we just sell them this land? Why do we need the land? Why don't we come up with a fair price and just sell it to them?
We talked about that. However, that land that the city owns is in what's called an easement lot. So we cannot sell that, I don't believe.
What's an easement lot? What's that all about?
We own the portion where that portion up there where item 50 is located is a drainage easement lot owned by the city of Sioux Falls. We've evaluated from an engineering standpoint what effect having this driveway in that easement lot will have, and there will be no negative impacts.
So, I guess I don't see why we still don't sell it, and they have to agree to the easement.
Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
If we no longer needed that lot for an easement, it would revert back to the grantor. So it would.
Yeah.
So we will continue to use it as drainage easement, but we will allow the access across it through the lease agreement.
So who gave it to us?
I have no idea.
Further questions?
Chad, who determined the $100 a year price? I'm just wondering, what's reasonable?
The amount determined, I believe, was between real estate, the bank, and public works.
How many square feet?
20 by 100, approximately 20,000 square feet, or 2,000, I mean, 20 by 100.
2,000 square feet. I'm just wondering if there's any benchmark here as to, whether or not we're getting a great lease price. It doesn't sound like very good to me. I mean, $100.
Mark?
I think one of the keys here is that they're going to make about $25,000 worth of landscape improvements with the same consultant that's doing the River Greenway plan downtown. We're not able to sell an E-lot, and so this is an E-lot for just as you come around the Big Sioux River. We can bring you more information on that, but those are lots that are held for flooding purposes with the Army Corps of Engineers. This fits right into the existing contour, so we don't lose any available storage in that open channel that runs from north to south. I think from our standpoint, we felt like it was an amenity for them to not only make a substantial improvement on the Greenway, but also maintain it for the life of this lease.
Further questions of item number 50? Not, is there a motion to set the hearing date for July 9th for item 50?
So moved, Jameson.
Jameson moved. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconded. Further comments? All in favor of the motion to set the hearing date for July 9th for item 50, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz, Staggers,
Yes.
Benega,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
All members present voted. The hearing date has been set for item 50 for July 9th, 8-0. Item 51.
A resolution designating the official newspaper for the city of Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Kavanaugh, second.
Second, Costello.
Costello, second. Further comments on the motion to approve item number 51? Seeing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present and voted. Item 51 has been approved 8-0. Item 52.
A resolution declaring it necessary to levy and levying a special front foot assessment fee for street maintenance and repair.
Council, this resolution completes the necessary action to allow us to raise the front footage tax from 80 cents to 90 cents effective January of 2008. And Public Works appreciates your support tonight of our rate adjustments.
Are there questions of Mark on item 52? Others wish to address the council on item number 52. Council discussion or actions or motion?
Move for approval, Jamison.
Jameson moved. Is there a second?
Second, Benninger.
Benega seconded. Further comments? Seeing no further comments, excuse me.
Well, this is where we formally take the additional $376,000 from the pockets of the citizens of Sioux Falls.
Okay, further comments? No further comments. All in favor of the motion to approve item 52, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Item 52 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 no. Item 53.
A resolution approving project and issuance of bonds by Lincoln County.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
back in 1999, Lincoln County issued in its name $6.2 million worth of bank-qualified tax-exempt bonding for various campus improvement projects for the Augustana campus. Unfortunately, because the campus is located in the city of Sioux Falls, one step in the tax-exempt process was erroneously not done, and that was to have a hearing before the Sioux Falls City Council. Let anybody who has concerns about the granting of the tax-exempt status appear and say so, and then asking the council to adopt a resolution of support. The attorneys for Augustana contacted the IRS, and the IRS said, if you do it now, that will correct the default. That's what's before you.
Questions, Gary, on item 53. Others wish to address council on item 53. Council discussion or action?
Move for approval, Benninger.
Second,
moves.
Jamison.
Jameson seconds. Further comments? Seeing no further comments, all in favor of the motion to approve item 53, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 53 has been approved 8-0. Item 54.
A resolution of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, correcting a legal description of annexation resolution number 3307, annexation legal description correcting 2007-01-06, Jansmick, 54th Street North, and I-29.
This is about a 19-acre parcel that was approved by the city council back in March of this year for annexation, and we've discovered that there is an error in the legal description, and this is a correction to that property in accordance with the latest county records that we have.
Questions of Mike on item 54. Others that wish to address the council on item 54. Council discussion or is a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Knutson moved. Is there a second?
Second, Costello.
Costello seconded. Further discussion? No further discussion. All in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 54 has been approved, 8-0. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to
So
adjourn.
moved.
Kavanaugh and Jameson seconded. All in favor, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh? Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
We stand adjourned.